Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm just setting up everything. All right, I think that's as much as I can set up. Come back into the light, perhaps. Awesome. Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalat, wassalam, rasulullah. Welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. And it's just a simple topic today, but I think it is one that truly eludes us, and that is that feelings are neutral. And I don't think we see it that way. We see feelings as being good or bad. Some feelings we feel uncomfortable, so we've labeled them as bad, and some feelings we enjoy, so we've labeled them as good. And that label, I think, is what's tripping us up. So let me just take it back a step. Our feelings, where are our feelings coming from? Our feelings are coming from thought in the moment and nowhere else. What we're thinking about, that is how we're feeling about things. And when we appreciate that, it's interesting, a lot of thinking falls away, because when I've got some very interesting shadows today. When we believe that our circumstances or the people around us are causing our feelings, then we have a lot of thinking around how certain things need to be rectified in order for us to be okay, for us to feel better. And that thinking falls away when we realize that we're actually experiencing feeling through our own thought, that the same situation thought about in different ways can bring a completely different feeling. Let me think of an example. Okay, a situation common for parents, since a lot of us are parents. Our child spills their drink. Now, on a day when we're doing good and we're not in a rush and everything's cool, we realize that that child is young and these things happen, and we just look at them and go, you had an oopsie-daisy, let's clean it up, and it can become a learning experience for them on cleaning up after they make a mess. On another day, when we might be expecting guests, for instance, and we're really rushing around trying to have everything prepared and neat and ready for the guests, and our child spills the drink, there's this frustration and potentially words along the line of, oh, you were so clumsy, or something to that effect. Now, the situation, the child spilling the drink, was the same, but our feeling about it was different because we were thinking about it differently. And in fact, even if we were busy with guests coming, we had the opportunity to still think about it the way we thought about it before. If we're in a state of tawakkul and trusting in Allah that everything's going to be okay, we don't need to be stressed and anxious and worried in the way that leads us to behave in a way that is not okay towards our child. So I'm just giving you that example to show you, to demonstrate that our feelings are coming from our thought, right? Because that's the first piece of the puzzle. So feelings being neutral, how does that work? Well, thoughts are neutral, but we are the ones that place the story around it. So when the child spilt the drink, if our story was kids that's just how kids are, they're still learning, their coordination isn't quite there yet, that's the story that we have our feelings from. And that story comes with a lot of compassion and understanding and patience. If our story is, oh no, I'm never going to have everything ready by the time people come, and this is just another thing that I have to deal with, very different experience. And then we have feelings around it. And then we behave based on those feelings, which may not necessarily be in the kindest way. We lose our compassion. We see the child and what's happened as the problem. So the topic was that thoughts and feelings are neutral and that it's okay to have feelings. Well, once we realize that we're experiencing our thought and nothing else, the only thing our feelings are telling us is how we're thinking about it. So there's nothing wrong with the situation, the people, or whatever around us. All of that is happening according to the qadr of Allah. And even if someone is behaving in a way that's unacceptable, that is still the qadr of Allah, because it's still part of our test, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent us tests in this life, and sometimes they come in the form of people in front of us, and quite often the ones that are close to us, right? So in that case, it becomes a case of, if I'm having feelings, then it's indicating one thing, one story, what's going on in your thought. It's like a barometer to your thought. It's just telling you how you're thinking about it. It's not telling you anything about the situation. It's not telling you that the situation is good or bad. The situation is as it is. The person's behaving as they're behaving. And those things we have no control over. All we have is the ability to respond to the situation, to the person, in the wisest way possible. And the wisest way comes when we don't get caught up in the story and the feeling of it. Now, how is all of this helpful? You're going, what is she getting to here? When we realize that we're only feeling our thoughts and that nothing else needs to change other than the way we think about it to be okay, we stop taking those feelings so seriously, and we stop getting so caught up in the thought that feeling that we're having passes very rapidly, and we pop back into our wisdom and we're able to respond in the best way possible. So in the case of the spilt drink, we might have a flashing thought go through our mind, oh no, I don't have time for this. And the frustration pops up. But we're quite conscious and aware that that is just our way of thinking about it in that moment. And so we don't take those feelings seriously. And just in that little moment of pause between that feeling, the thought feeling, and the action, we have a moment to have a new thought before we react. And we're able to come back and be that wise person that said, oh, accidents happen, sweetie. Let's clean it up together, instead of really coming down on our child. So when we take feelings so seriously and create stories around them, that's when we get caught up. And that's when our behavior goes off track and we become less pleasing to Allah. And generally speaking, when we do that, also the situation gets exacerbated, because if we've kicked off, then another person kicks off, and then it just, it can become a mess. So the key at the bottom of it is to not take your feelings so seriously. Stop trying to figure out the meaning of life based around your feelings. Feelings are just, you've had a thought, you've got a feeling, right? And that's all that's happening. So when we can stop taking our feelings so seriously and worrying about having the feelings, or labeling them as bad feelings, it must mean something, and I better do something so I can have a good feeling because that means something, right? We just go, okay, I'm just having feelings. That's just coming from thoughts. I'm always having thoughts, 70,000 thoughts a day, apparently. and so I'm going to go through all sorts of different feelings in a day. Alhamdulillah. When we can see that, then the thoughts can remain, not the thoughts are neutral, but we can stop the storytelling that we do around the thoughts and the feelings. And we can enjoy having the feelings and being in the feelings and having the feelings pass, because we're not scared of them anymore. because one of the biggest problems is we fear feeling a particular way. Like we're holding back from something important in our life because we're scared of maybe feeling embarrassed or getting it wrong and feeling ashamed, or being mocked and feeling embarrassed, or we're so walking around so scared of our feelings and holding ourselves back because of our feelings. When we understand that, oh, hang on a minute, my feelings are just my own thoughts. They're just my own creation. There are something, the picture that I've painted that I'm feeling. And then we can have our feelings, enjoy them, good or bad, and not worry about them, and stop stressing so much about having feelings, because guess what? We're a human being and we're going to feel. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us this way. It's not about not feeling. It's about not getting so caught up in those feelings. Alhamdulillah. I've experienced peaceful grief. You know, I was with my dad in September. I was with my dad as he passed away. It was very sad. But I never felt at any point overwhelmed by the sadness. It was a very peaceful sadness. I have when I broke my wrist in September too. About 2 weeks after Dad died, I broke my wrist. And it was a very significant break that I was in hospital for 3 days where they operated and everything. SubhanAllah. And after that, I had a lot of fear around tripping over again, because that pain was excruciating. When they asked whether it was between 0 and 10, it was kind of off the scale, way past 10. I've given birth multiple times. I've had gallstones, which is apparently one of the most painful things. And this was over those, like this was beyond measure pain, right? SubhanAllah. And so the memory of that pain can bring about a lot of fear, especially when I stumble with my feet, which I'm pretty good at doing. Now, so, you know, straight after it happened, I had moments where I would visualize tripping over something and I would feel the fear. But I didn't ever get into anxiety or panic or have panic attacks or anxiety attacks or anything like that, which is where these things come from, is where you get caught up into that growing fear and get into the story of that fear, and then it escalates and shoots up to being, as our beautiful mentor Melissa would say, feelings with special effects, where the body starts, you know, joining in as well. And it did, actually, the body did join in initially, because I'd get this really uncomfortable feeling in my stomach, you know, when you think of something really icky, you get that feeling in your stomach. It was really almost to the point where I'd like to throw up, right? So that's how those feelings would pop up with the thought of falling over again, and especially when the wrist was still very sore, like landing on that hand again and like going back to that pain. Now it's what, November, September, October, November, a couple of months. Yeah, actually, yesterday it was 8 weeks since the operation. And now when I think about it, it's just like a flash in the pan, you know. There'll be like this kind of like moment, but it's gone. It doesn't get time to go down there and make me feel sick, and it doesn't get time to even really hold space in my brain for very long. It's just comes and goes. And that is how we recover emotionally, you know, from things that might be quite traumatic, but I'm giving you these examples to show you we're going to have feelings. If I started to get caught up in those fearful feelings around tripping over, I could by now be a bucket case and not want to walk around just in case I trip over. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, I'm not. Alhamdulillah, I'm quite comfortable with the idea of being active again, driving the car now, and doing things with it. It's still very uncomfortable, but alhamdulillah, got a whole Meccano set in there holding everything. I don't know if you know Meccano. It's a kid's toy made of all these metal bits and screws where they can do or whatever they want of Meccano. So this is my story for today. This is my Wisdom Wednesday for today. Is that you don't need to be scared of your feelings. They're just your thoughts. There's no feelings are actually neutral. They're not good and bad. Yes, some are uncomfortable. I would prefer to use language like some feel really comfortable or lovely, and others feel uncomfortable. And because, but if we label them good and bad, then we start chasing good feelings, and we start trying to avoid bad feelings. All of the feelings, the whole rainbow of feelings, are all part of our experience. All of them are actually perfectly good and wonderful and can be experienced in a beautiful way, even the ones that we find uncomfortable. In fact, I would have to say that I don't even feel some of these as uncomfortable anymore. I just see them as feeling the experience of our human existence. Alhamdulillah. Now I'm going to quickly check in to see if anybody has been here and had any comments or questions, because I've been broadcasting from Zoom, so I've been in Zoom. I do have another meeting very soon, so I will have to be very quick. So if we got any comments here, we've got Rahma here. Assalamu alaikum, sis. Jazakallah khair. Yes, the pain is intense. Jazakallah khair for being here and listening with me, Rahma. So I would love everybody who has listened to this, whether it's live or the recording, to please share your takeaway below. I'd love to hear what you benefited from this We Are All Okay Wisdom Wednesday today, inshallah. On that note, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.